I'm Reg Chua. I'm the editor for Data and Innovation at Thomson Reuters. I wish there was a simple explanation of what I did, but I basically overlook data, data journalism, data visualization, largely, those sorts of things, and essentially any other project that gets thrown my way. It's certainly changed the way people look and find stories in the US, which is probably the leading center for, I guess, what you used to call computer-assisted reporting, and maybe now you call data journalism. Who knows what the right term is. But yes, the fact that there's so much data out there, the fact that you can take it and you can play with it, means that there's more possibilities and things that you can try to do. There's stuff out there that we can certainly use now, not just in terms of official data, which is important, obviously, but also in terms of just the, I guess, data exhaust, the stuff that we throw out there that we're starting to learn how to use properly. So Twitter feeds are an example of people, just putting stuff out, not intending it for it to be analyzed, but now you can analyze it. Obviously there are privacy issues and other things like location information on your smartphone. So that exists, and of course there have been sort of scandals and questions about the privacy of that. But again, that information now exists. In China, there were people who were trying to collect their own pollution data. So, that's not an official statistic, but it exists. So once something exists, there's the possibility that you can use it. And when you can use it, you can bring a whole different level of rigor to stories, and it becomes a much more interesting field. There's certainly this community that really does help each other out, even though they compete with each other on stories and they hate being beat and so on, and they don't really, at some level obviously want to give away the crown jewels by telling other people what they're working on. But it is a really tight community, and people do help each other out. Mostly this lives around IRE, Investigative Reporters and Editors, and specifically around NICAR, which is the National Institute for Computer-Assisted Reporting, which lives there. And there's a listserv, people get on it, there's a conference once a year, they all go out drinking, which is the best way to get to know anyone, and they really do help each other out. It's a really nice, tight community, and it's very helpful because they know they're all sort of in it together. If somebody really screws up with this, it's a bad name for the whole practice, and they all want to help the practice improve. You have to come in with the right state of mind, and that means at a bare minimum you have to come in with a numeracy state of mind, because it's actually critical. Too many journalists sort of say, I'm not a numbers person, I didn't get into journalism to do numbers. That's a serious mistake. You have to come in, because so much of what journalism is about the likelihood of events, the unlikelihood of events. If you need to understand probability to know whether, was it that unlikely that the building would collapse or the whatever. You need to understand how numbers add up and sort of shape the world. So numeracy is a critical basic step. Then you have to understand data, at least theoretically, even if you can't do Excel, even if you can't do Access, because what you want to be able to do is say, I want to prove this hypothesis. What's the data, what's the number that could help me? Oh, I know that such and such government department gives out this number. If I took that number and I asked someone to help me play with it, would it give me a conclusion? So that's the kind of stuff. So you have to at least think about that. And then I think in the future, people will need much more of a, if you like, a computational and visual state of mind too. On the visual state of mind, you've got to be able to recognize how information can be given visually, so that you can think about how you can tell your story in a visual way, graphically or through an interactive or data visualization. And then computational state of mind, in the sense that you've got to, even if you can't write code, you have to be able to think a little bit more in terms of machine logic, so that you can say, I can ask a machine to do this step, and then this step, and then this step, and then this step, and this will give me a conclusion, even if I can't write code.